one. And now it's you. Hello there.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for being here. I'm Clare Cooley. This is the Creativity Show. It's all about using our creativity to enhance our lives, to heal ourselves by expressing emotions respectfully, stimulating the immune system, making our lives more of an expression of our unique aesthetic, our style, our perspective. And I love to use my creativity in every way imaginable. So I have stenciled clothes, I've designed clothes, I make jewelry, I do the home decor, I make dishes, blah, 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 blah. Lots of creativity. I, like everybody, want beautiful things in my life. I'm an artist. I've been an artist my whole life, and so pursuing that fulfillment, that satisfaction, that joy, doing creativity and sharing it with others is what I've always put first, not money making. So to have beautiful things in my life, generally I make them. So here's an example, and this is my crane stencil. I'm gonna take it off to do the painting today so I don't drag the sleeves through the paint. And when I do that, maybe it'll be easier to see the artistry on it. Let me put it on a hanger here.
If you want, I can zoom in if you want to show any specific.
Sure, show that. The crane stencil on the back. And let me know when you got that and I'll turn it around.
Got it.
And then there's more cranes on the front. And more of the evergreen branches. All of these things that I have made stencils. There's 18 flowers that I've done a lot of clothing and scarves and wall hangings and art and cards and all sorts of things, with even furniture, paper products. So I'm going to hang this up, and we're going to look at this piece of art that is on its way but not done. Oops.
So that's a piece of art that you're going to be working on today?
Well, this is a piece of art that I've been working on in the last few live streams, but I'm going to, can we turn the light to it and show it? I'm going to give it what I call a perspective break, and I'm real happy with it, but I want to take some time to decide. It's very final, the final steps. I do know that the being in the center is, even though white is a combination of all colors, so it's kind of an appropriate color for this fetus in the center, all these love lights coming into it and the primordial soup of the early universe. That's the story here. So white being a combination of all colors, it seems like an appropriate color for the being, but it needs some detailing. And there's 2 out of the 72 different languages of love that didn't work. One got smeared and one was not the right angle. So I put white acrylic paint over it, and I'm giving myself permission to redo those 2. And then when I counted that there are 72 words for love on this piece of art, I realized 73 is the right number because I just turned 73 recently. And I thought, well, I didn't intend for it to be 73 from the beginning, but when I counted 72, I went, yep, 73 feels right. So I'm going to pick one more language, and I'm going to fix the two that one got smeared, one isn't the right angle, and I'm going to finish some detailing in the fetus. And I might put a little silver in here, just because I love the way the metallics, when you different light hits the metallics in different ways, you see different things. It's like it reveals itself, like the early universe. When there was light, the universe started to be able to be seen. And so the message story here is love and life and light. They're, I guess, my spiritual belief system, one could call it, and my scientific theory, which of course is not provable at this point in our evolution, that before the Big Bang, it was love that was crushed by the largest black hole that had already consumed all the others and crushed this particle down. Then it was so energetic, but it couldn't be destroyed, which is like love, because it's a feeling, not a thing. But we feel it, we know it exists, we experience it, and what does love want? It wants to be shared, wants to be returned, wants to be given and received. So life, that is how love can be given and received, returned. And so that's my theory. It's my belief that doesn't hurt anyone, helps me, and maybe helps other people. And that's, in my opinion, what our beliefs should add. We should ask ourselves, does our belief help us and help other people and hurt no one, or not hurt the environment? And if it hurts no one and helps some, including us, go for it. That's a good belief. So there you go. Now I'm going to ask Bodhi to show the time lapse. It's just a couple minutes of this painting happening really fast in front of you, and then I'm going to go to this new piece, which is a cloud being infant floating in a sky of feathers. So let's show the time lapse. Are you ready, Bo?
It's going to take a minute for me to get that.
Okay, well then I'll talk about
Are you making sure to stay where the camera can see you? You're looking at the laptop.
Okay, there I am. All right. Thank you to the Minnesota State Arts Board for the grant to do these live streams. This body of work that is illustrations of my life story that I wrote in a series of short stories with over 52 short stories and 68 pieces of art in the book that Bodhi and I published called Incandescence, Rising Above Darkness. I wrote my stories because people asked me to. They told me that hearing my stories helped them and would help other people. And as I have said before, and I'm sure we'll say again, when the judge said, "How did she turn out so nice? Her stories like the women on death row," that's when I thought, well, maybe I did learn something from my spiritual teacher, who was my mother, my main spiritual teacher, and that can help other people. They say it does. 8-year-old girls, elder people, all kinds of different sorts of people who have given me that feedback that my stories help others, help them, and will help others. So I wrote them, and then got this grant to illustrate them, which is a really interesting challenge to illustrate your own life story that I'm embracing and inspired by. And so I started with the primordial potential of the universe and the primordial soup, the hydrogen and helium that the early universe was, and then what got it to coalesce into matter solids from gases and then become form that heavenly bodies that life could exist on. And that's where I decided it was time to articulate my spiritual belief system, that it was love, couldn't be destroyed, and wanting to be shared and received and returned. So that's that one. And this next one,
You want the 3-minute or the 8-minute?
let's go for the 3-minute time lapse of this painting coming into being. And I'll set up to start this painting. So that's me. The first bit there was me stretching the watercolor paper by submerging it in a bathtub, and then putting it on this piece of masonite board and using the slightly moistened tape to keep it on the board during the watercoloring process, and then it stays nice and stretched without wrinkles for when it comes off the board to be displayed when it's finished. And the piece that you saw hanging over the fireplace is just hanging there, not on the board anymore. And you can see that it pretty much, even though there's a lot of water used in it, it pretty much comes out nice and flat. And the way that it's finished can make it, any wrinkles that it did get warping during the production of it can be minimized or taken out in the way that it's framed or displayed at the end. So that's cool. I do all my own framing. I always have, because it can be very expensive, just like I like to make my own dishes and clothes and repurpose and recreate with everything, so that I can live a frugal life with lots of time to do what most fulfills me and gives me joy, which is creativity and sharing it. So I've got my own frame designs, besides all of the tools to cut frame materials and glass or plexi and mats. So all of that I have acquired over the years. So I have in my cellar a framing room that has all the tools I need to finish things frugally, and that's what I love to do, and display my work the way I want it displayed. Here's showing the stenciling process. The 72 different languages. Love is being painted with the gold metallic paint onto the painting, are stencils that can be reused. I have stencils literally I've had longer than I've had Bodhi, and they're still fine. They're an acetate. If we take care of them, after I use the paints on them, I soak them in a thin tray of water so that the paint comes off into the water, and then I can use it as a wash for some other art, some other artistic project, instead of pouring it down the drain. I like to try to waste nothing. So is that the end that we time-lapsed?
That is.
So as you can see, looking at the painting, there's more that I didn't do with the camera on, because sometimes I just have to get going and do it. So not every single second is captured by the camera, but most of it. So now this, I wear my fingerless gloves to keep my often lotioned, greasy hands off of the art. And now I am going to do is this in the right place? Looks like it is. I'm going to do the sky that I do the most of the sketching in my head, and then I put the fewest lines on the art to start that I can, leaving as much room for serendipity and for the revealing of what the art is asking me to let it become. I'm just a tour guide for the feeling that I want it to communicate. The journey is getting to that feeling. So here it is, this innocent infant floating in a cloud in a sky of feathers, sky that has feathers. So first thing I do is water before the watercolor, paint with the clear water, and I find this process of the pigment flowing into where the water that can be very invisible, almost totally invisible, and then the pigment flows into it in this rather magic looking way.
Do you have a name for this technique?
I never have named it, but if I were going to name it, which I am because you asked that great question, I would call it flow. This is the flow part of the watercolor process that I love. I love that water flows. And I love going with it and seeing the random balance. And there is a bowing of this board and the paper that happens when it's stretched on it. That definitely has an effect, but it's pretty flat other than that, so it should, the teeniest fiber strand or other elements can have an effect on which way the water flows.
Certainly starts out very subtle comparatively to oil painting.
Yes, and all of the art forms I'm most attracted to, the bamboo flute, dancing on skates, writing prose about feelings, are very spontaneous. They have a spontaneity to them, a go with the flow kind of a quality. Whereas oil painting, you can go over and over the same area, just with the whole canvas or a portion of it. With watercolor painting, you basically need to go with what happens and make it part of the composition. And that to me is more like life. we got to go with it. We have to use what we have. The only control we have is really our attitude, our actions based on our attitude. So if something happens with the watercolor that I didn't predict, which of course always happens, my choice is to figure out a way to go with it. Not like I wanted it to do this or I wanted it to do that and regret, but just go with what happens. So for me, it's more of a parallel with life. Going with the flow.
Lena Rollins is watching on Facebook. How are you doing, Lena?
Oh, nice, Lena. Hello. So great to know you're there. I love to hear from people. I love the questions and just knowing you're out there. I consider these virtual visits and I think it's really, for me, it's very wonderful to invite people into my sanctuary, my private space, my home, my art, my sanctuary.
Lena said you make it look easy.
Well, thank you. It can be. And I try to go with its properties, the properties of water and the pigments flowing in it, and not fight it, not try to over control.
Sumner Madison is watching on Facebook.
Nice.
And while there, Lena. And on YouTube, you got a comment. What you painting this time? Ooh.
It's a cloud with an infant sleeping on it, in a sky that's sprinkled with feathers. And the reason this is part of my life story is I have what I would call a connection with birds. My first published work, the Book of Cranes, I painted all 15 species of cranes because I just needed to. And so I have some mysterious, mystical connection to birds. So this is part of my life story. It goes way back. I think we all do. They've been here since the dinosaurs and way before human beings. So I think we're all connected, but they play a very important role in my life. And Bodhi was here a couple days ago when I was laying out this idea, and I had this painting on the dining room table, and I had just started drawing the feathers, the outlines for these feathers, when I was just moved mysteriously to look out the window across the street, down the block. Something I didn't know what got my attention. And so I'm just staring down the block, and I couldn't see what it was that got my attention until it came closer, and it was a bird that flew right at me and hit the dining room window and knocked itself out, which of course was very disturbing, but it recovered. We went out and saw it, and it was unconscious for a few minutes. So I just watched it from inside the dining room instead of staying out there so I wouldn't startle it. When it regained consciousness, which I felt, Bodhi reassured me, it was just knocked out. It was fine. I started to cry, and then he reassured me that it was fine and I was good. And it was good, and it did start hopping around, facing out to the street at first, and then it turned around and looked at me, and I stayed perfectly still because I didn't want to startle it again. And then I kind of creeped out of the view very, very gently, feeling very protective of this little bird. And wherever I went in the dining room, even when I was out of view, it hopped around and tried to see me. And when I looked out the other window, it hopped over there and looked at me. And it did this for about 20 minutes. Just kept hopping around looking at me. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't have an explanation for how this little bird and I connected, but I felt it coming, and Bodhi said he just wanted to be your friend, and it hit the window and regained consciousness and hopped around looking at me for 20 minutes till finally I decided to stay out of sight so it could concentrate on getting its bearings back. And then
says the master at work, and I see Ocean is watching on Facebook. Dave, see ya.
Nice. Hello to, thank you, Sumner, and nice that you're here, Ocean.
Oh yeah, we got a comment on YouTube. So on YouTube, someone said it looks like a beautiful summer sky. So for those of us at home, because it's still very white, we can't see any of the pencil lines on there. So you'll have to describe what you're doing again. And why is it that it starts out so faint?
I have a few principles in doing art, and one of them is don't lose the light. So we can always go darker and we can always intensify the pigment, but once we go too dark, we can lose the light. And with watercolor, you want it to be fresh and clear, and I like the summer sky, lots of light coming through, lots of bright, and these feather shapes that you're beginning to see, even if you can't see the faint lines, the very soft lines I put for these shapes, you're beginning to see some of the feather shapes being articulated by this blue sky around them. And they're going to be very bright. So there'll be nice contrast. And so don't lose the light. And contrast makes all stories, whether it's a visual story or an auditory story, or reading a story, whether it's a movie or a painting, seeing a story. Contrast helps us take it in and make things interesting. The dark and the light, the happy and sad, the contrast of life is what can make great stories great.
Ocean said, thanks for inviting me. Well, of course. Love to connect with you and hang out virtually.
Always. And ever since, way before COVID, actually, this is what I really wanted to do, was share this place that I love to go to as often as possible, this serene, creative reverie. I like to share that. I could say, in a way, it's my form of prayer. And it's about respecting nature. And what we all have in common is we all come from nature. We're all part of nature. We're all connected to one another and to all of nature and all other beings. And so this is what makes me happy and helps me return to serenity, no matter how challenging and chaotic and unserene life can be. And especially recently, there's been a lot of division. Bullies have always tried to divide and conquer, and fear-based controllers have always used anger and fear and hate and to try to manipulate people. And there's a lot of that. There always has been. And how does that help the world, really? They may think, I don't even think it helps the bully. It may temporarily give them some power, money, advantage, but that's not what really feeds us. Knowing we're loved and we're safe and we're connected and we're not alone and we're appreciated, that's what helps us. Not power that we might gain through having economic advantages or weapons. That doesn't really, but temporarily.
Ocean said, so very true.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I've always been,
What kind of paint and other materials are you using for this?
So far I am just using watercolor. Let me show you my watercolor blue palette. And then I take the color I want for this particular painting, and I have mixed a bowl. And then I have a bowl of water. So this is step one. After getting the color I want from my watercolor palette, which then goes into the bowl. A piece like this that's got a lot of sky and blue, and I'm using the bowl. And even these things, Some of them might be a little too angular for the sky, but I'm going to let it be and see where it flows. The uncontrolled by me, but it's like painting with watercolor is like dancing with water and pigment. And my first art form was dance. Seed dance was my first performance at probably 3 years old. And so that's going to have to be an image in this collection.
So I noticed that your painting technique is very calm and almost kind of Tai Chi-like. It feels like I'm watching a meditation at times.
Well, thank you, whoever said that.
I said that.
Well, thank you, Bodhi, for saying that. I love that. Well, that's honestly, I do believe no matter what we do it for ourselves first. And that's what I love having in my life is meditative activities that also can be shared, because then it takes it to another level. This is getting a little too, so we'll just give it a little guiding redirection of water there instead of letting it be too angular. Someone once asked me about my dance skating technique. And I said, well, I'm basically always falling. I just try not to hit the ground. And that's kind of how I feel about watercolor. It's always flowing, and I'm just trying to help it flow in a graceful way. And the other thing I love about playing the bamboo flute or dancing on roller skates or watercolor painting or writing true stories, which is what I'm most interested in, is that I have to be totally there. And even though I'm talking, I'm totally here. I'm talking about what I'm experiencing, feeling, thinking in this moment. I'm not somewhere else. And
what do you want people to think or feel when they see this body of work?
maybe everything, but I want them to feel peace, the strongest, have peace be what remains, and a feeling of connectedness that we all have to the universe, all of nature, each other. Everything is connected, and that's what I want people to feel, to become more aware of. The collective power of all the beings, consciousness and all the beings is magnificent. And if we work together, I believe we can get through all the difficulties, have everybody fed and safe and enough serenity in their life to contribute their unique essence to the collective of humanity, and use everybody's creative resourcefulness to address the issues in the world, which there are many. And so the more peace, which is the number one most common comment about any of my art I've heard. But no matter what you do, there will be people that can't, won't, don't appreciate it. And I had a profound, it wasn't disturbing for me, but I felt compassion for them. Comment about the painting that's hanging up on the mantle there. Somebody told me on Facebook, they wrote it publicly, that it was really, really, all capital letters, really bad art, and I should do something else with my life. And I thought, wow, there's 72 words for love on that. And this person was feeling hate and demeaned me, calling me a girl. You should do something else. And I just thought, wow, they must be really unhappy. And I didn't think my work is not worthy. I thought, they must be unhappy. Anybody that has the time to criticize others instead of working on something that fulfills them, if that's what they choose to do with their time, why? Find something that fulfills you. Well, I think,
Question.
Yes.
Ocean asked, who inspired you to get into art? Question by Ocean on Facebook.
My mother was a classically trained artist who graduated from a fine art school, the first one in the country to give a fine art degree, connected to the museum in Boston. She was classically trained and incredibly literate. She grew up away from the rest of her family with her liberated single woman aunt in the city. And my mother had severe asthma. That's why she was moved to the city. They thought maybe it would be better for her than being in the country where the rest of her family was. And so she spent her childhood reading and going to the library, and with her asthma, being very still a lot of the time and studying. And so she was incredibly literate and educated and worldly. And so she never gave me technique. She said, for you, the rules don't matter. If you learn them, you just have to forget them. You follow your heart and you stop when it's done, and that's your way. And trust yourself, and just, you've got it. And what a gift that was to have such a champion. And she listened to me like what I said was important. And I realized that helped me have an inner confidence that I could figure things out, and I could trust myself and my instincts. And she did do what I do with Bodhi. He'll tell you this is true. I'll say, look at that. And it reminds me of my mother every time. She would point out things and art and landscapes and just still lifes, and get me to turn my attention to this beautiful arrangement that sometimes happened naturally, and sometimes someone had arranged, and sometimes an artist had really ruminated on and composed a piece of art. But she would suggest I look at it. She would never tell me what to think, what to feel, but she would suggest that I take it in. And when Bodhi and I take our walk and talks, production meetings while we're getting exercise and fresh air outside, I often say, oh, look at that. And I remind myself of my dear mother. So she gave me permission to be me. She gave me suggestions on how to expand what I take in. And she let me go to museums because I preferred that to playgrounds. I didn't like playgrounds. I thought most of the time they were loud and chaotic. And I preferred standing quietly in front of pieces of art and taking them in deeply. And so she let me be me. And she exposed me to great art, museums, great thought, and we had conversations about everything. And she was very honest and always supportive, so she could say things that were very constructively critical, like when I would tell her some mean thing that some young lady had said to me, she'd say, well, she misunderstands your confidence for conceit. Or, something of that nature. She would try to explain their point of view and help me to navigate the hurtful things that happen. So as I just mentioned, this person telling me that my art was really, really bad, and girl, but you should do something else with your life. It made me laugh instead of hurt. Because I just thought, if he's calling me girl at 73, maybe I should just take it as a compliment that I'm, as a friend said, you're ageless.
Sumner on Facebook said you have a special gift to communicate and express the beauty of the natural world.
Thank you very, very much. And that's very kind of you to say. And I want to share my love for nature and my reverence for this incredible heavenly body that our only home that we share, and I hope we keep taking better and better care of it and each other and ourselves. I want to share that through my art. And I don't think the hardest part of this process of painting my life story is that I just don't think, compared to nature as a designer, I'm ever going to be anywhere near as good as nature is as a designer. So it's been hard for me to think, I should paint these things that come from my imagination instead of what I've always done, which is be inspired by nature and paint the warblers or the cranes or landscapes or whatever. But the truth is, even my own imagination is all informed by nature, and we are nature. I am nature. We're all nature. We're all come from it. So it's all connected. And so it's fun to be telling my own story through these visual metaphors. And part of my story is my love of nature. So there you go.
Heck yeah.
What's the time? I always lose time as soon as I start painting, so I have no idea.
Time flies, watercolor flows.
That's nice. I'm going to use that one. Time flies when the watercolor flows. Yep.
It is 12:50. How
perfect. So I feel really good about hopefully I'm going to work on between now and the next live stream. This is Wednesday, so the next one is Sunday at noon CST, and you can see any of them over again, or if you can't be here for the live part, on the YouTube channel, The Creativity Show, you can see them and share them and tell others about it. But I love it when you're here. Thanks for being here, Lena, Ocean, Sumner, whoever else, if I missed your names, and I really appreciate you being here and telling other people. I am a typical artist, and I'm really don't know anything about promoting myself or my work, but I do want to share the piece that I feel connected to everybody and nature and promote it in the world. So there you go. How's that for self-promotion?
Pretty good. So, Ocean said, ignore those filled with negatives. Don't get it. They don't get it. You're passing a gift of history in the arts. Thank you for sharing. That's lovely.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I have a new, after somebody who doesn't get it yelled at me for 40 minutes, I have a new life motto, which is nice or next. So if someone isn't nice, next.
Fantastic. And okay, let me come back on that. Okay, I'm back. So we are putting up her live streams on patreon.com/Clare Cooley. There's a link down at the bottom here, and you can also scan this with your phone. If you happen to be watching it on your phone right now, you can take a screenshot, and then you open up that screenshot and you tap the QR code, and it makes it really easy to go here. You can join her Patreon for free, and it's a good way to get access to all these live streams, and you can go watch all of them back later. There's going to be a playlist of all of them, including the ones that she's done previously. Her stencils and other bodies of work and reading from her books. And then her Patreon is also going to be like the Netflix with Clare Cooley, where we put all of the cool stuff. Her book, her stencils, her videos, her lessons, discounts for her art and products. So we're just going to keep building that up, and it's also just a really good sort of newsletter for you to stay up to date with all things creativity and creativity. She mentioned some of her life stories today, and so I'd be remiss if I didn't point out you can get her book, Incandescence Rising Above Darkness, here at this QR code. You can type in Clare Cooley on Amazon and find her book. And you can also purchase it anywhere you buy books. If you ever have any questions about how to access these live streams or leave comments or find the book or any product, reach out to me and I will help you out. All right, guys.
Well, I want to say one thing, that your local bookstores, you can order it, so you can support the local small independent businesses, or if you want to get it through a big bookstore, they can order it if they don't have it, or you can get it online, any way you like.
Lovely. So that's that, and then you'll be working on this one again next time?
Yes, indeed. And then we'll keep moving on to the next and the next. So the first one will be done by Sunday, and this one will be on its way to done, and the next one will be begun.
All righty.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Love you all, and really love connecting with you. It warms my heart.
Okay.